even in Hollywood. You know, when you're a writer and you're going to write something, all responsible writers research it. You write a script, you're going to write about gangsters, you do some research on gangsters. You don't just make it up. And you do research on labor movements, whatever the topic, on love. Except when it comes to Indians. Script writers do no research. I know. I've confronted them. I've acted in some of their TV and movies. So I know where my people stand in America, you know? But this is my land. I love it. And it's governed by Indian law. Ironically, isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful in my eyes. So I love this land, and I'm sad to see it's my duty as a Lakota to welcome human beings. So that's why I fight for this country. That's why I fight for the Constitution. That's because I see too many wounded knees. The Branch Davidians, it's a white man's wounded knee, you know? When Clinton, a Democrat, attacked his own people and slaughtered them. Wow. Never stops, does it? And then they're demonized. And you know what they went to prison for? Those that survived that Holocaust? Illegal possession of firearms. The reason for sterilization is that usually is visited upon tribal people. People who still lean towards matriarchy. People who are organized in a socio-economic way of life that is counter to the existing paradigm. And those are the people they pick on to sterilize. You know, at the same time in America, when in a 4-year period, they sterilized 42% of our women, American Indian women. At that same time, they sterilized 35 or 36% of the Puerto Rican women in Puerto Rico. Because there was a groundswell of liberation movement in Puerto Rico that was getting way too big. And I guess one of the methods they employed to stop that, besides prison and deprivation of your individual rights, they sterilized Puerto Rican women at the same rate, almost the same rate, during the same time period. And you know, that was never really brought forth, except by us Indians. We're the ones who found it out. But that's my answer to the fact that the dominant society is fearful, and always has been, of matriarchal indigenous groups. And those are the ones they always want to control the population. And you go around the world, the Ainu north of Japan, the original indigenous people of Japan, driven to the northern islands. The Sami people of Scandinavia, commonly referred to as Laplanders. And you just go on, the indigenous people of Africa. The massive sterilization down there, the massive slavery, my God. It all started with the Arabs, you know, when they started enslaving Africans way back when. So it's continuous attack on indigenous people, the world over. You know, they talk about the bio whatever, it is. The biofood, the pharmaceutical, all the corporations. You know, it's just one word. It's greed. They've set up a system, and the American people are the laboratory. They set up a system. What's the best way for our industry to profit? Well, we got to have sick people. They go to the scientific community in league with the government to okay all of these drugs that can kill you. What's unbelievable is they advertise these drugs as lethal, and people still buy them. Huh? That, along with the Social Security, I mean, what are our Americans? Man, what happened to their brains? Well, I know it's the educational process is a lot large, but I think these foods, I'm convinced that an entire people that do not want to say anything about defending their rights, that don't do anything to stop the continual deprivation of their individual freedoms, it has to be also in the food and in the medicines, along with everything else, because nobody's that stupid. To see these TV commercials on supposed medicines that they tell you is lethal. Well, you know, if your liver goes bad, immediately call your doctor, whatever they say on there, you know. It's unbelievable the situation Americans have allowed themselves to be put in, and they still do nothing. They still do nothing. Every issue you can think of. But this food thing and this drug thing, everyone knows that a McDonald's hamburger is a killer. And everybody knows all of this food is bad for you. And they even print it on the side, aspartame. All of that is on the label. And if you don't know what's good for you, what kind of person are you? Because you have children, you know, and you were a child once. But to read those labels, or not read them, but they tell you on there that there's poison in the foods, and that still nothing changes. This reservation is a perfect example. You can't talk to people on this reservation not to eat meat. They think, they've been convinced that we were a meat-eating people, which we're not. Indigenous people don't have refrigeration. You can't be a meat eater if you don't have refrigeration. I mean, it can be part of your diet, but it's damn sure not a major part. It's just mind-boggling the hold these corporations have on America through the media. You don't even have a court system to back you up anymore. There used to be the Sherman Antitrust Act. There used to be food and drug laws, all washed away by politics, by Congress. When I was growing up in America, we had one forced inoculation. Every kid had to get a smallpox inoculation. And not only did that shot hurt a lot, but it got infected. It got pussy. It's supposed to do that. And in my little mind, I thought that was wrong. Just wrong. Making you all sore and pussy and infected to make you better. I couldn't wrap my little mind around that it was good for me. So having had that experience, and then finding out when I started having children, and I'm 72 winters old, and I have children that are now half a century old, and and young all the way down to 19. So I've had a series of growth through the school systems where more inoculations with each decade of my kids. And it's gotten horrible. When my last two, they were born in 85 and the next one in 91. When they were born and became school age, I didn't want them getting inoculated. And I found out they couldn't go to school unless they were inoculated. I didn't have the wherewithal at that time to homeschool, and my wife, and the mother of my children, she wouldn't homeschool them. She was in complete disagreement, along with her parents. So I acquiesced to allowing him to be. And then when my last child was born in 91, I was vehemently against him being inoculated and wanted to homeschool him again. And then I was at the position where I could. And again, I lost out to the in-laws. So I'm well aware of those inoculations, and what scares me about those inoculations is the fact that I think that goes in large part to the dumbing down of America. I think it does something to your brain that shuts an important valve off, one of self-worth or something. Because if you look at America, it's becoming one huge sick society. And I mean physically sick and mentally sick. And the proof in the pudding, I think, are the elections. It's just unbelievable that they have no choice and they don't realize it. You know, what gets me is that the gall of Obama going around campaigning for, of course, other Democrats. But what was he campaigning on? He promised change, and he didn't change a damn thing. You know, it's more lies upon more lies, and the American people don't wake up. It's unbelievable that after 2006, anti-war demonstrations disappeared. Well, you know, because of what the United States did with Indian people, America then became the role model subsequently for Hitler's treatment of gypsies and Jews and Poles and gays and homosexuals. And then South Africa adopted the reservation system and apartheid because of the example of the United States. This is all written history because Hitler wrote about it when he was still in Austria. So that United States of America knows how to treat the lesser human being. I forget how he put it, with the human beings that do not deserve equitable treatment. So, unfortunately for the other peoples that suffer, America was the role model for concentration camps. I know the Japanese did it, and you know the Japanese were not treating American soldiers or any prisoners badly until the United States, this is a little known fact, the United States started sending the Japanese to concentration camps in western United States. So that too is factor. It's not an unknown tactic about the scorched earth policy. I mean, that was done throughout empires. In fact, that's how you rewarded the soldiers, to keep them fighting. They got all the loot and the women.